Perfect.
All right, we're good.
All right. Let's go. Where do we start, man? Back again.
Yep. All right. So, with today being focused on sales and your sales process, you were saying that, okay, the only way that you guys get paid is if you deliver product. I want you to
Yes.
how do you even get the order get in place? How do you even go before that? Who do you reach out to? What website? I want you to describe to me the whole thing, because you obviously don't just get random call and hey, be told to go. You're also reaching out, correct?
Yep. Yes, correct. That was a part of what I had written down. So let me walk you through it. So let's say say a new customer, for instance. What we'll do is we have websites that we'll visit. I visit 4 different websites, 2 of major companies in the trucking industry. They have something called carrier portals, which allows carriers such as myself to go on and see, the work that they have from shippers and everything. So one would be JB Hunt. Another one would be Night Select. I also use Amazon. We all know Amazon. And I use a board called DAT Load Board. So with these websites, initially I would, pull up these websites in a tab, and I'll start off by using DAT Load Board. And what DAT Load Board offers us is a overview, or let's see, an overview of what's going on in the market, because the market fluctuates. So in Florida, you may be delivering a bunch of, for example, Florida, where you are, you may be delivering a bunch of oranges one day or 1 week, and then the next week it slows down. So you may have 1,000 shipments of oranges going out this week, and then next week when you visit Florida, you only have 200. So I use DAT Load Board to survey the market and see which direction I'm going to send the trucks in. Next, I will use Amazon or JB Hunt based off those numbers from DAT Load Board. So let's go back to using the example for oranges. So if I'm on DAT Load Board and I see that 1,000 shipment of oranges are going out, I go over, I get the list of numbers of the brokers or shippers who have them. Let's just say Tropicana Juice is shipping out 500 cases of orange juice. So I reach out, we make the call to the broker or the sales department over at Tropicana Juice, and let them know that we have the capacity, we have the equipment and the available drivers to, move that shipment for them throughout the week. We come to an agreement on a number. We come to an agreement on, pickup and delivery date, and then we pretty much go from there. So that's it in a nutshell. That's leading up to us getting the load. And once we get that load and the driver performs and executes it, we then submit the paperwork at the end. We sell invoices to like a factoring company, and then that's how we get paid.
Okay.
Hope I was clear on that.
Yeah.
Just let me know if you want me to.
Yeah, sure. So what would you say out of the whole process, what's the most difficult part of the process? Like, what part requires the most skill?
Yep, the part that requires the most skill would be understanding what price to ask for. You have to know your numbers because, again, with the Florida example, if we pick up in Florida and we're heading up to New Jersey, coming up north, fuel prices are different. And we have a lot of tolls here. Down in Florida, it's just, you have the toll lane, but it's open land. You have that option. It's open land. Florida going to Texas will also be different. It's flat land, it's open land. So you're going to save on diesel, which is the fuel we use to to fuel the trucks. You're going to save on cost of tolls.
Yep.
You and pretty much maintenance. You don't have to climb any mountains. Coming up north, you have to climb mountains and stuff like that. So that's wear and tear on your truck. That's more cost of fuel and then toll. So these are the prices or numbers that you need to know when going into asking for a certain price for a certain load. You have to know these things when speaking with the representative
Yeah.
at Tropicana, for
Yeah.
example. So it's the numbers. It's the numbers. That's the hardest part.
So are you the one who handles that solely, or is that delegated?
I handle that solely just because I know the numbers. Like I can see a certain lane and just know it off the back because I was a driver before. I drove. I knew how much I paid for the fuel when I did the trip, so I knew how much time it took me. I knew how much it will cost me, and I can just be spot on. So I am the one that negotiates, all the prices and all the loads,
Okay.
not delegate.
Okay. So two things. One, as we talked about last week with like the different things that you do and like doing checklists with them and like writing all those things out, even if you don't plan on delegating this spot for a while, it'd be good to have it written out also for your sake, just to say, okay, all the stuff I'm doing pretty much unconsciously, but like, here's what it looks like on paper. Step one, this, go to this work, step two, this, step three, this. So that would be good to have all that. My next question is this, because of the current sales process that you have. What did you do to increase from, let's say, the early days of like 10,000 a month to 50,000 a month and on up? What did you do? What's the difference there?
That's a great question. So the way that I structure the loads, and this goes back to understanding. So when I had those 10,000 months, what I would do is I would see a load. We're going to keep using Florida because that's where you guys are. So I would see a load that's coming out of Florida, maybe going to Texas, and let's just say it's paying $3,000, but it may take me 4 days to complete it, and I would just take those loads. All right, this $3,000, I know it's going to take me 4 days. And then by the end of the week, because everybody, Monday through Friday, they try to get all their shipments. And now it's Friday, can't really find any loads. I'm sitting until Monday, I'm waiting. So what I learned was how to structure loads within, 2 days, or take two small loads that might be $1,000. And then on that third day, I'll take a $3,000 load. And this way I increase my revenue by, 2,000 each week, 8,000 a month. And I'm like, okay, so if I do two short loads in the beginning for $1,000, and then I take that one big load, I set myself up to bring in, a lot more revenue. Yeah. So that's how I started to do that. And I did that for a few months. And that's when I bought, the next truck. And I just took that same system and put it within that truck, and then just kept doing it from there, kind of like rinse and repeat. And my revenue increased when more staff members came on the team. But I took that same system and that same method. Yeah. So it was really just timing. It was timing. So I could say here, hey, Paul, I can haul your carton of oranges for $3,000. And you say, okay, it picks up Monday, but it delivers Friday morning. So for I can do it for $3,000. So it's taking me 5 days just to make that $3,000, when it's other options in the Florida area that says, hey, Lorenzo, come from Miami up to Jacksonville and maybe back to Miami for $1,000 on Monday.
Right.
Maybe you can't get that done on Monday. So Tampa to Jacksonville, then Jacksonville to Orlando for $1,000. You can get that done in one day. Yeah, and then I do that twice, and then I say, "Oh, Paul, remember we spoke earlier in the week? Do you still have those cartons
Yeah.
of oranges that need to go to Texas?" And go
Okay.
from there.
So here's what I'm thinking right now, because as far as like um, increasing your sales revenue and like trying to multiply, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do with the growing of the business. You
Okay.
are obviously doing the same stuff that you were doing in the very, very beginning. Uh,
Mhm.
you mentioned the other week or the other day that you did take a load, and occasionally you do that still.
Yeah.
And that's more than fine. But we can say the majority of the time, you're not the one making the trips anymore, correct or no?
Correct. Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we're thinking about this sales process now and everything that's involved, we're not necessarily thinking about Lorenzo driving. We're thinking of, and not even about Lorenzo quoting, because
Mhm.
bottleneck in your business. What do you think your bottleneck is? Meaning the thing that's causing restricted growth in your business. What do you think that thing is?
Um, for it goes back to what we always talking about. What's restricting it is I'm the only one that kind of. So if I'm the only one making all the calls for the sales, it can be somebody else can be being reached. I can only reach out to so many people throughout the day and kind of connect the dots.
Uh-huh.
As much as I possibly can myself. So not enough people within the company know how to do, what I do.
Okay, so there's possibly two bottlenecks then. Because how capped out are your drivers? Like, could they be driving a lot more, or are they like pretty scheduled?
So they're for the most. That's a great question. So um, majority of the drivers scheduled because Amazon we have contracts. Like
Yeah.
with Amazon, you have contracts and set routes Monday through Friday. And other drivers, they're pretty much regional. They stay by their homes,
Yeah.
not too far from their homes.
Yeah.
So they're not really scheduled. So, but they are capped. Each driver has a 14-hour shift to work for that day
Uh-huh.
and a total of 11 hours to drive throughout the day. And within that 11 hours, they can, drive about 600 miles.
Okay.
So I try, yeah,
Okay.
I work
So
on.
with the way that I'll break this down, and you'll see this, it's essentially going to say, okay, at this current point, what is the current bottleneck that's not allowing me to expand?
Okay.
We could say, okay, right now, your day is pretty full, but could you make a few more calls? Most likely, because from what I heard the other day, you said that you took that 10-hour trip and it only added an hour and a half the next day, which again showed me not again that there's fluff, but almost that there is kind of fluff in the first day.
Hmm.
10-hour trip only added 1.5. Obviously, those hours aren't the same. And so
Right.
I don't think the bottleneck is currently the calls that you're making or being limited on that. It may feel like a lot right now, but it seems like you could do more. From what
Right.
it sounds like, the current bottleneck is distribution, which
Okay.
distribution is number of drivers. And so what you have
Yeah.
to ask is this. All right. So if I can make a few more calls a day, like let's say right now, Lorenzo, someone gave you 5 drivers. Do you
Right.
make calls to fill up those schedules?
Yeah.
Most likely, right? And 5
Yeah.
drivers, we talked about this the other week. When you lost, what was it, 2 or 3 drivers?
Yeah. 3.
3. And that was 50 grand in revenue lost, right?
Yeah.
So 5 drivers, I mean, you're talking 80, 90 grand in revenue gained.
Yeah.
With the sales process, you described to me your end, but you didn't talk about the whole business part of it. And that's how I'm seeing it right now as a distribution, because
Okay.
you could be making more calls, but there's no need right now because drivers are capped.
Yeah.
So your sales process bottleneck right now possibly could even be within recruiting.
Yeah.
So
And that.
recruiting, you feel what I'm saying? So recruiting could be your possible main way of actually increasing sales revenue. because you're not at the point now where you're capped with calls. And if you're the main one doing it, and obviously you're going to have to build towards having other people do it eventually. But like right now, I see your main bottleneck as the distribution of how much you can even get, because you can have all the deals out there in the world, but if you don't have the drivers to deliver,
Yep.
you're just going to be looking at those deals online, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now that we know that it's distribution, we'll talk about two things. One
Okay.
is your process of recruiting. So we'll talk about that. And two, correct me if I'm wrong, but your business model is that you own the trucks and your drivers lease it from you. That way they can make more. And that's how the
Yeah.
process goes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to be the two things that we're going to have to talk about, because with your current model, increased drivers means, okay, I got to get more trucks.
Yeah.
The current way that I do it. So that means financing. So you could have a bottleneck there. But before we get there, let's talk about the recruiting. What is your recruiting process like, and how active are you with recruiting drivers to your company? And how many do you have right now?
Recruiting process is in the gutter. Because a lot of the guys that I have, I don't know if I mentioned this to you in the beginning, are basically like from word of mouth. A lot of the guys, we have 4 out of the 7 trucks that we have 4 guys, and they're all from, everybody that came on the team was from word of mouth. So I didn't realize the importance until after, I lost those few team members. How important, it's funny that you said it, was recruiting. So I didn't realize how important recruiting was until, I lost them. So that it's crazy how you dissected that. That is what kind of like got us all, mixed up and all over the place. So what we did was I paid, a recruiting company now, and that's taken, away a lot, because, they charge $3,000 just to find a driver, just to send them my way, So my recruiting process, I delegated it, if that's what you want to say, but I gave it to somebody else. I don't even know where to start. I ran like some Indeed posts and stuff like that, but that didn't work because my focus was elsewhere. So we don't really have anybody in-house that's skilled with that. So we pay for the service now.
And how's that worked out?
So far, so good. We had about 6 or 7 drivers in the pipeline that we ran. Surprisingly, only 2 of them checked out, but they won't be ready until certain time period. So the equipment is still, sitting, and we're onboarding and everything with those guys.
So there are 2 ways, largely, that I see that you could go about doing this.
Okay.
One of the ways that you have already chosen. So the 2 ways are either attracting or reaching out. Okay.
Okay.
Be attracting people to you to like work for your company, XYZ, or you're going to be directly reaching out saying, hey, come work for me. And you chose right now a delegated option of the reaching out, because they're going to directly reach out to different drivers and try and recruit them for you. This goes back to some of our beginning conversations. And this is why with people, like, let's take a plumber, for example. A guy's like, okay, I know how to do all this stuff. Johnny up top, he's making all the money off of me. I want to go out and start my own plumbing company. People don't realize when you go start your own company, you're not just doing plumbing. You have 1,000 hats to wear. And with what I'm going to talk about specifically, even just within the field of recruiting, it may get a little overwhelming, but it's good that this is recorded, because you can go back and break this down and choose whatever steps you want. So within the attraction versus reaching out, one of the things that we talked about in the beginning when we first started having these calls is having a voice within the industry, right?
Yeah.
We talked about having a voice within the industry, as I said, is almost a whole nother business.
Right.
Because you're making content, you are just doing so many things online that's having to do like it's wearing multiple. This is why people delegate completely social media stuff because it's like
Right.
so many hats to wear. All right, editing, distribution on the different platforms, responding to people when they reach out. It can get pretty overwhelming. It's like another business.
Mm-hmm.
But depending on what your aspirations are with this may be something where you need to be like, all right, I really do need to take this part seriously because I could be attracting people for free if I'm just making a video every day and talking about it. If I'm putting these hashtags every time, trucking business, trucking industry, whatever else you would write, um,
Right.
and distributing it across the multiple platforms, you could be getting people for free, especially if they see your model.
Right.
Oh, I can make more with him. I'm currently doing this one. Okay, I got it. Um, and so that's something to consider. Another one to consider, which I don't think enough people will think about this with ads, is you could run a 1 minute or 2 minute video on YouTube or Facebook saying, hey,
Right.
I have these spots open. I need drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Respond to this, if you're interested in that. And you could do that 100, 200, 300, 400, $500 a month. And that's still a penny of what you're paying the other company.
Yep.
You're probably manually reaching out to people.
Yep.
You could probably have thousands of views with those
Yep.
type of, ad dollars behind a little video like that. And just imagine you put that on YouTube where you can do pre-roll, which I may be saying some stuff to you that you don't understand yet, but that's okay because
Mm-hmm.
we'll go into it eventually. But you can
Right.
do a pre-roll on YouTube, which targets people who look up certain phrases.
Okay.
So trucking industry drivers, and then your ad will pop up. Hey, I'm currently looking for some drivers for my trucking business.
Right.
Click the button below and reach out to me, whatever. So I think there are multiple things to look at when you're looking at recruiting and how to
Okay.
recruit. And I would say this: don't just be satisfied right now that someone's doing it, because just because someone's doing it
Doesn't make it effective.
does not make it effective at all. Like you could put the check mark, but it really should just be like a little mark, could not even
Right.
a check mark, because it's like, but also, as we talked about, you said that you ran that one ad, $400, like 200 something messages later, you're like, oh my goodness, this can blow up.
Yep.
That just went to show you how fast things can blow up. So again, you're going to have to like kind of measure this too, because, well, what happens if you have, let's say even it was 10
Yep.
legitimate qualified people after 2 weeks? That would
Yep.
probably be so overwhelming to you. You'd be like,
Yep. Yep.
and so I'm just throwing out different ideas right now. I'm not telling you which path to take. I'm just trying to like
Okay.
plant some seeds of other possible recruiting ideas, because you can go the free route with just making content, talking about your business. Because remember how we talked about having a business profile and then also just doing like a personal one, like a Lorenzo one, but then also your company one.
Yes.
There are literally an infinite amount of hats to wear in the beginning. And how I've talked about, like with my goals, you're going to have to say no to 99% of them and say, this is going to be the one that I'm going to focus on.
Right.
So
Yes.
out of those kind of like different ideas, did any one of those in specific pop to you or be something that you'd be interested in doing?
Definitely the videos, because that's, what we did in the beginning, and I felt myself doing it, and then I just stopped. I just stopped, and I had a lot of interaction. I actually was on a phone call with a husband and wife. The wife drives a truck. The husband is getting his license back. And this was just yesterday morning at 9:30. But this was someone that I met off the ads. I met them off the ads, and I didn't think about it. I'm just like, okay, I met this guy off the ad, but that was bringing me a lot of people. I actually, another guy, he texts me every day. I pointed him in the right direction to get his license to be able to drive a truck, and he contacts me every day. But I never really looked at it as, this is how, I'm connecting with people, as, yeah, man. So, dude, that definitely popped out, and it kind of like left my, my mind once all this stuff started to happen.
And I told you, I mean, you was running those without really knowing how to run ads in the first place too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um, so that's, you know, and that's what I was talking about. That when I can show you like a few more like targeting details with that, we could even make your money being even more efficient. Uh,
right.
so that's definitely something to think about within your recruiting process is, all right, there's two sides of it. The external, meaning I'm going to reach out to people. And I guess you could say like the internal, like the attraction, like people are just like, I just want to go work for that guy. That sounds like,
Right.
both are good and use both, but start with one and start
Okay.
with one because you can only manage so much. And what you want to do, I'm actually probably going to make a video about this, but too many people try to add other parts on before they optimize one.
Yeah.
And it's almost like hyper inefficiency because now you just don't have one inefficient thing. Now you're going to add on other inefficient things. And so
Yeah.
it's better to be perfect at like outbound messages or be perfect at, and I say perfect in quotes, you know,
Right.
be perfect at making videos that attract people rather than doing it halfway and halfway, you know.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about as well. And depending on your personality and your style, will depend on kind of what route you want to take with that. Because the other thing that I talked about too was, and these are scenarios that you want to play out, Lorenzo. Because if you know you're trying to go to X amount of revenue, and you're like, right now I'm earning, uh, let's say, $15,000 to $18,000 per driver per month. And so
Right.
let's say I'm trying to increase my revenue, my 50 grand. Okay, I need three more drivers. The other side that you need to look at because your current model is what does it look like for you for financing right now with adding three more trucks?
Right.
Because that's going to be your other one. You're going to start getting people to be like, hey, I want to come work for you. And you go, oh, yeah, yeah, great. You can see all the revenue possibility. But
Yeah.
what does own financing look like with even ability to gain more trucks? Maybe
Yeah.
for the next 2 or 3 months, you could say, I can only do one truck.
Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't even have a ton invested in this outbound stuff. Maybe I just need to go look for one. And if I'm only looking
Yeah.
for one, maybe I should just have me or my wife go look for that one on LinkedIn, start messaging people. And that's how you got to do the numbers on that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not just the recruiting side of things and the possible revenue. The bottleneck then, once you have those two connect, would be financing. What
Yeah.
does that look like with ability to get the new truck? And are there trucks that I currently have that I'm looking at that I've saved online? Because that's
Mhm.
so you're always thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead with, okay, I can't get these trucks now, but I do have them saved. And I'm going to kind of monitor them. Okay, I can't get that guy, that guy, that guy right now, but I definitely want to keep in contact with them, want to keep a good relationship with them. That way, when the time comes, I can just keep going. And then you can start to predict your growth, not just because you're wishful thinking, but you're like, no,
Yeah.
that's literally in place that if the world doesn't explode tomorrow, no,
Yeah.
will be real. Revenue will be at this point. I'll then be able to finance this. I have the guy for that. And that's what that starts to look like. Like you see,
Yeah.
it's like very predictable growth now, and not just like wishful thinking. And hey, I want to be here by the end of the year. Well, how are you? Well, I'm just going to get more people. Okay, well, how? Now you start
Right.
a system around each of the parts.
Yeah. Man, that is huge. That is huge. It's a blessing that you pulled that out, man, because that is a major, that's what we need right now, as far as like the recruiting. And no creative juices have been flowing in that area because we're just so focused on keeping up what we have now. So but that's important because I have the time, like even like with this, or when I go look at a truck, or when I'm out in a car or something, I can put that information out.
Yeah, exactly. Even just recording those videos, and that's why I was saying to you earlier, like maybe like in the first 2 or 3 weeks, was be purposefully be imperfect, and that's just to like start getting you in the mindset of I'm just gonna post this. I know it's not perfect, but like I'm just gonna post this anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be honest with you, I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but my vibe with the trucking industry is that they're not looking for perfection. You know what I'm saying? They don't care if your video has all the graphics. They just want information.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Information. Yeah. That's it.
So that's something to think about. But to kind of tie this up that way we can have some practicality come out of this. Which way you
Okay.
right now? I mean, I know you're saying that you're paying the agency $3,000 a month, but out of the stuff that we talked about, what are you kind of leaning towards right now? With like where you want to focus your recruiting efforts and how you want to do that?
I want to get back in because I'm good at that. I am good at that, good at connecting with people, on my own. So that's even just like I said, a lot of the guys that run with me is from, word of mouth. Or this guy is, or my family has this, and I gotta sell them or convince them to be with me. And that's how everybody that's around on the team now, I had to do that at some point, and I still have to do it on a daily basis, convince them because we're a growing company. We hit these numbers and everything like that. However, we are still a growing company. And I have to persuade these guys every day that this is where you need to be, for the next 3 years, while we're growing. Like, you're going to see great benefit from it and so on and so forth. So I know when it comes to connecting with people, I can get out there and do it. And I didn't lose the skill, but I lost sight of, why we connected in the beginning in the first place, because all this stuff was going on. You were teaching me how to reach out to those people. You were teaching and instructing me on how to, kind of like, build myself up to where I connect to these people and have a voice in the trucking industry.
Yep.
And I got away from that. So that's what I want to do. That's what I'm leaning towards.
Okay. And by the way, that's why, as the CEO, one of the most important things to keep in mind is your vision. You can never get too lost in the weeds. You have to at least once a week when you're planning out your week on Sunday or whenever you do it, the big picture again. You have to go back to the big picture. What's the vision? What's the vision? What's the vision? How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? You have to keep going to the macro. That way you can see that,
Okay. Yeah, I agree. So that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to do it.
Okay. Well, all you got to do. This is one of the reasons. Could make a video about this too. It's not crazy to talk to yourself. It's not crazy. You need to go, okay, I want to do this. You go, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Okay, so then start to ask yourself realistic questions. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but if you were to do it, what do you think it would look like? Well, I would probably maybe record a video, maybe upload it to these 3 sites. Okay, step 1, record a video. Okay, step 2, upload it to these 3 sites. Then what? I'd probably add this in the caption. Okay, add it in the caption. Maybe I'd reach out to some people. Okay, that's number 4. That's all you got to do.
Right.
Don't just leave it at, I want to do it. I don't know how. Just say, if you would do it. That's all you got to ask, because we got some weird stuff that goes on in our brain. I don't know why. We doubting. I don't know why we do the whole stuff. So just say, just like be very gentle with that, like the doubter in your head.
Right.
And just say, okay, but if we were to, what it look like? Then the doubter kind of loosens up. The doubter goes, okay, well, this is possibly, I don't know if this is how it works, but this is possible. Then you go, okay, no problem. I'm okay if it doesn't work, but hey, let's just try those couple steps. And it's a really weird kind of thing, but like we got to like normalize, especially for like visionaries and drivers. You gotta normalize having those conversations with yourself, because each step that you take, it's going to be like, I don't know if we can. Just go, okay, but what if we did? What would it look like? Right. And that's all you got to ask.
Yeah.
So I would say, since your efforts are going to be on posting again.
Yes.
Perfection is the last thing that you need to keep in mind. And you need to keep in mind posting within the benefits of trying to recruit people to you. Trying to recruit people to you and just being helpful in the industry. Because
posting within the benefits.
Say what?
Say that again. Say that one again. Posting. So when I'm posting.
Yep. You need to think about why you're posting in the first place. So, you're trying to recruit some people to you. You want to just be helpful to the industry because it's always good to have buddies in the industry, even if they don't work with you. So what that means is maybe you just post some helpful videos. Hey, this is what's going on in my business. For those of you who are running trucking business as well, hope this helps. And you can kind of lay out some stuff. So you got to think about the multiple angles of who'd be watching it. Yeah, so just you got to keep the big picture as well with what you're posting, because otherwise then you're just going to be like, I'm just making videos every day. What am I doing this for? And it's because you forgot what you were doing it for originally.
Yeah.
So this will be one, especially when I upload on Sunday. I do want you to go back and watch some of these things and pause it. That way you can write down maybe some of the steps that you're going to take with this process. Because like I said, recruiting by itself, this is why they have whole departments just for recruiting. Recruiting by business.
Yeah.
Social media by itself is a business. And here we are saying, I'm going to do them all. But that's reality. You have to be, the sales guy. You have to be the recruiting guy. You have to be the visionary. You have to be the driver. It's true. It's just where it's at in a lot of businesses, which is why most businesses fail, because they can't do all those hats, and they realize it's not just driving a truck. Owning a trucking industry is not just driving a truck.
Yep.
So, any further clarifying questions you may have around this topic, or even just with what we discussed so far? Because I know we talked about it a lot.
We did. So a question that comes up in my mind is, while I'm focusing on this, the other work, do I begin to teach the person that I feel as though is right for sales? Do I begin to do that so I can have more time to do these videos? Or do I just continue to do everything, that I'm doing?
That's gonna be a question that you're gonna have to decide for yourself internally and say what feels right. Because realistically, Lorenzo, it actually doesn't take long to do videos. It really.
Okay.
And what I'll just tell you from experience is the biggest thing that you're going to probably spend energy over is feeling weird recording a video. It's not actually the content, because you know the trucking industry. You can post it. It's just going to be that weird stuff going on in the brain that goes, why this feels weird. Exactly. Right. Who knows why it comes up, but it just does. And I can tell you this: some of my videos are better than others, but I just gotten into the habit. I'm just upload. I recorded it. Sometimes what you don't think is good, people love. Sometimes you're like, killed that. Okay, why no? That's what I was telling you, man. It's subjective. So I don't think the videos will take as long as you think.
Okay.
Just get in the habit of doing them. But if you do want to at the same time, start delegating, those are stuff that we talked about from the past. So you're just going to have to decide that for yourself, what feels right. When you want to start delegating some activities, when you want to start delegating other activities, it's going to be completely up to you. But all these things we want to keep on marching forward with,
Okay.
And so depending on the pace at which you're moving, you got to start making those decisions. I'm laying them out for you and trying to help you see all the moving parts, but you got to start, okay, this one I'm doing here. And then you can even start playing with it. Okay, I'm not going to do this right now, but next month I want to take that one off the list and I'm going to have that delegated. So it also takes off your mind of having, okay, I got 20 things to delegate. What am I going to, no. Okay, you can start planning that and predict the growth. Again, all this stuff has to do with predicting as much as possible. We're not predicting because we think we're anything special or we're just wishful. It's okay, realistically, I can start delegating that responsibility because now I'm going to have another driver. I'm going to have the financing for this here. So and that's how you can actually start planning it. And then it lets your creative brain go to work, because now it's not being filled with all this other stuff, which is part of what we have talked about, getting rid of all the stuff in your mind. Because I'm like, bro, you don't know how much stuff you have in your mind. I'm like, you don't even know. So that's what we're, even within these videos, I've said there's an infinite amount of things to talk about, but we got to do it one thing at a time, as long as progress keeps going forward.
Yep. And it has helped, great. Yeah. I've been writing stuff down. I'm telling you, man, it's very helpful. And I get to see it, my mind feels like it's getting back there, because I miss reading, I miss watching my videos and doing stuff like that. And So I got to get back to it. You know, that's how I got to this point. I wouldn't be where I'm at if, you know, I didn't, you know, work on myself or have that, you know, that clear mind, you
Yep.
know, that clarity. So I have to get back to that. And these are the steps I'm going to take, dude. So thanks for your time today.
Awesome.
Very helpful, man. I'm going to show the team this, dude.
Good. Good.
It's very helpful, man.
All right. Sweet, man. All right. Enjoy the day. It's a privilege as always.
Yes, man. God bless, bro. And you have fun and let me know all about it, dude.
All right. We'll do. All right.
All right. All right. Later, dude. Thank you.